Hi guys, and welcome back to the Mean Stack 30-day challenge. So I've set myself a challenge to post a video every day on how you can build your first Mean Stack app, and we're going to jump straight into it. So what I've got open here is a bit of a flow, an interaction flow of the app that we're going to build. So I've got a home page, we've got a login page, and then we've got this customers section of the app. Now in the customers section, we're going to have a page to view and search for customers, and we're also going to have a modal, so a modal window that will pop up. And we're going to use that to create customers, and we're also going to have one to update customers. So that's the structure of the app that we're going to build, and depending on how much time we have in the next 30 days, we might add a few more things to that as well. Alright, so to start off, we're going to look at the home page, and we've got a use case here for our fictitious company, and the idea is that the company is called App Makers, and one of their employees, they need to be able to log into the app, but in order to actually use it, they need to be registered, and they can register or log in by using the login button. And the storyboard says that when the login button is selected, then that'll navigate the user to the login page. So that's the process for what we're actually going to be creating. Now, what does it look like? Well, we've already got a couple of wireframes. We've got one for the landing page for a mobile phone, and we've got one for a landing page that displays on a tablet or a desktop. So I'm going to just pop that open. So what we're looking at here is the landing page that we're going to create for a mobile phone, and you can, when you're looking at this, I want you to think of the content and think of what it would look like in a grid format. So we've got kind of two columns. We've got one column here for the icons, and we've got one column here for the text. So that's when we're looking at it vertically. And then when we're looking at it horizontally, we see we've got these rows that are going across. So up here we've got two rows. Again, we've got two rows, two rows, two rows, and so on and so forth through. And when we jump across to the tablet, so this is how we want the tablet or the desktop display to look. This time we've got two key columns. So we've got these sort of columns over here, and we've got a second lot of columns over here. And they take up about half of the screen. Now within this particular column, again, we're split into another set of one column for the icons, one column for the text. Again, over here for this larger column, we've got one column for the icons, another column for the text, and we've got two rows for each of these sets of data. And the reason why I'm talking in terms of this grid columns and rows is because we're using Bootstrap. So if I jump across to Bootstrap, so getbootstrap.com, and you go across to the CSS section of getbootstrap.com, and just go down to grid system, and you'll see there's some example grids that they've got in their website here. The way that Bootstrap works is each row, so that's a row, can be split into up to 12 columns, okay? And each column can have a length. All right, so if you think about it, here we've got 12 columns, and they're worth one column length, okay? Because you can only have 12 columns, so that's the maximum they can have. This next one down, we've got two key columns, but this one has a length of 8, and this one has a length of 4. Again, they make up 12. This time, we've got 3 columns. They're all the equivalent of 4 columns each. So if you kind of measure them across the single columns, you see they come up to 4. Again, 4 by 3 equals 12. And the last one, you see that this is equally split into 2. So 12 divided by 2 is 6. So when we were looking at the tablet or that desktop kind of layout, we said we needed to split it into 2. So we'll be using a lot of these 6-sized columns. So where are we going to do this? Well, we're going to create this landing page using our app's homepage. So let's go and find that. So I'm just going to make this smaller. Put that over here so you can still see it. And I'm going to go to where this landing page is. So the way that you find that is when you go to the Mean app, you go to public, and then go to modules, go to core. Now, core is where you find anything to do with the header part of the app, so the bit that you see at the very top of the app, and you'll see the home page. So any of those related items, they're in the core because they make up the core of the app. So we go down to views and then we just go to home. Now you see that because I'm using WebStorm, there's a few things in here which are highlighted in this sort of brown kind of color. The reason for that is because I've just initiated Git. You can do that in two ways. You can either go to your command line into your terminal and type git init, which initiates Git for your source control. Or if you're using WebStorm, you just go to VCS and go to create, and that will set that up for you. All right, so that's an important thing to do before you start. All right, before we actually start to do any editing, I'm just going to start up the app. So just go to Grunt and just let Grunt start up the Node server for us and run its tasks and start up the app. So as soon as that's done, it should be very quick. So that's when it says Mean.js application started on port 3000. Just going to jump across and open up localhost 3000. And you can see again, here's the Mean app that we have that comes with the Mean.js stack. I'm just going to remove everything between the section tags, so that can go, and we're going to start creating our app over here. So I'm going to start off by creating a row. So go div class equals row, and this is going to be my overarching row. So I'll give that a bit of space, and I'll go div class. Now I'm going to create my first column. I'm going to make that small and 6. So what I'm focusing on first is just this little section of the app here. So I'm really going to be looking at creating something that goes for half the length of this row. And the thing that I'm going to create is actually going to be a column that's the length of 6, and it's split into 2 rows. One row for this top section and another row for the bottom section. This top row is actually going to be further split into 2 columns. Okay, so let's do it. So we set up our first overarching column for this whole section. Then we say div class, we're going to go col extra small this time, 2, because we're going with extra small because we want to maintain this structure when we're looking at it on a mobile. I'm just going to call that icon and copy that, paste it in, and I'm going to make this 10. So remember we talked about that they have to equal 12. So next to icon, we're going to have 20,408. All right, now what I'm going to do is actually put this into its own row. So div class row. So I'll just copy it into there, and I'm going to create another row. And in this row, I'm going to put div class column extra small 10. But I'm going to offset that because if I just left that as 10, this total customers would appear over here. But I want to offset it by 2 so that these 2 text items line up. And we do that by just going col extra small, and we want to go offset by 2. Okay, so within that div, I'm going to put total customers. So we've got, just to show you again of what we've got here, we've got our row, which is just talking about the whole app that we're looking at creating. Then we've got this particular div, and we're making this go to half this page, so go to halfway through. We've got two rows because we've actually split this into two parts. The first row, we've got two parts to that. Again, we've split that into another column, split that into icon and the 20,408. In the second row, we've got total customers, and we've got that a length of 10, and we've offset it by 2. So what we can do now is just copy that, and for each item, we will just make that change. So 8,382, and this one is coming events. So copy it again. 527, and this one is new customers in 24 hours, and we want 348 referrals to moderate. Okay, so let's have a look at our handiwork. I just saved that one over here, and that should automatically restart up for us. I'm just going to make this small so we can see how that would look on a mobile. And I'll show you, when you've got the screen kind of minimized or reduced to that smaller width, Bootstrap's media queries will kick in, and it will actually change the layout of your page depending on what size of the screen that we're looking at. So just let that happen. Alright, so when we're looking over at our app, we see that we've got two key columns, and this is how we'd expect it to appear. So this is the equivalent of our appearance on a mobile device. Actually, before I make that bigger, I'll just show you here. You can see that Bootstrap also includes this navigation bar at the top, and it's got this little hamburger menu out the side as well. Now, when we make this bigger, we should actually see that the hamburger menu has disappeared, and our structure has actually split into two. So we're starting to resemble what we're looking for when we're looking at this example over here. Alright, so that's it for today. We're going to pick it up again from here tomorrow, and we'll work one step closer to turning our mean stack into a nice workable app. Thanks for joining me today. Please subscribe to the channel, or please check out bossable.com for more details. Thanks again.